Hi, Amy. Thank you so much for coming to this show and taking the time out for me and my audience. I really appreciate it. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Super excited to get to know more about you. Also, the topic we chose, which is like a vision, and talk about that more and get deep into it, so our audience can understand more, and also you can share your journey as well. So before we talk about the topic and get into deep, I would love to know more about you, and my audience would love to know more about who is Amy is and how you become a mindset coach and helping entrepreneurs.
Great. Well, I am, my background is in teaching.
Hmm.
So I did several years in the school systems.
Yeah.
And then the other big part for me has always been around health and wellness. So I was doing health promotion
Yeah.
before I got into coaching.
All right.
So, but I've always had this entrepreneurial kind of bent. And I don't think I really trusted it at first. So it took me a while to step into it.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. So, when you talk about like a health and wellness, is it like a personal training, things like that, or different
So
things?
it's been a variety of things. I did have my own yoga studio for a while.
Okay.
But really what got me going with health and wellness,
Hmm.
I can also tie back to how I got into the idea of mindset, although I didn't
Yeah.
know it was mindset at the time.
Right.
But within my family, um, when I was about maybe 9 or 10, um, one of my biggest memories was that there were a few funerals for family members all in a row, um, all from heart disease. And
Mm.
I just remember at that young age thinking, what can I do?
Yeah.
To there's biology, but what can I do? What's within my power to help my own well-being? So it got started pretty young for me. And so I just personally started paying attention to nutrition and um, being more active, as I
Yeah.
became an adult. And then those things, those things that I like to do, I decided, well, why not teach them? And
Yeah.
so I would do those things, along with whatever else I was doing. And, it one thing when you teach
Yeah.
an exercise class, then you will show up. You will be consistent,
Yeah.
and and then that also played into my. It gave me a lot of social
Hmm.
interaction as well.
Yeah.
So
So it goes back to like a same with the vision as well. So did you have any kind of vision for yourself with your life early age, or you have to make an adjustment along the way with your life journey? Like you mentioned, you was background on the teaching as well. Then you did a health and wellness fitness studio as well. Now you become a mindset coach. So there is like a different career path you have taken. Same with me. I started working as a dishwasher when I first moved to UK. Then I did uh, opened a takeaway with my brother, and then I moved to online marketing, teaching as well. So I did a lot of different things before I found out what I actually do and want to do. And it just took some time, like over 10 years, to figuring out what I actually love and enjoy. So did you have any kind of vision, like what you wanted to do, when you like early 20s or anything like that?
well, just like your what you just described in your life, I think
Yeah.
that's often how we do it. We try things out and we kind of sharpen our vision, so to
Hmm.
speak. Like this, yeah, this resonates with me. Nope, this does not.
Yeah.
And it sounds like we've had kind of similar paths of doing a little zigging and zagging, but it's all just clarifying that
Yeah.
vision. Um, so, I would say early on as a kid,
Hmm.
I could always see myself as a teacher. And I used to make my little brother be my student.
Yeah.
As I would practice, when I was a kid. And that was probably one of the first things that really got shifted.
Hmm.
Um, I love kids. I love teaching.
Yeah.
I didn't really fit my personality or how I saw it coming to be about how I could be a good teacher and
Hmm.
work with kids. Um, didn't quite fit with the system.
Same.
So that was my first kind of
Yeah.
zigzag.
That's why exactly why like I quit after like 6 months. I was enjoying every little bit of like teaching the children and playing with them, having a fun at the same time. But when it comes to like actual process, like marking their work, like coming and bring next day presentation, there's like a lot of work to do, and a lot of like health and safety measure in place. There's so many little things. It's just like then head teacher looking at you, deputy teacher looking at you, the observer looking at you. There is student council looking at you. There is this, so many things. And like you have the experience, yeah.
Yeah, I can so relate.
Yeah. But you're still in the teaching though, like you're a coach now. So coach is a teacher, right? So you're
Yeah,
still in the teaching, but you're not teaching children, but you're teaching entrepreneurs. Like you're quite similar to that.
yeah, yeah, it is. And it's nice to be able to pay attention to
Hmm.
what they want. What are they interested in? I love, giving little surveys like,
Yeah.
hey, what do you guys want to learn about next? Or, what would you like to have a webinar on?
Hmm.
And so then that increases and improves the engagement.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes, as you know, in the classroom, it's not always that way because um, there's already kind of a push pull against, oh, I'm being
Yeah.
forced to be here. But now with my clients or with the people that follow me on social media, they're just there by choice,
Yeah.
and then that makes the whole interaction and engagement different.
Nice. So when did you actually find out about like what is mindset? You decided to become a mindset coach instead of there is like so many different paths you can choose. There is a life coaches, consultant dealing with the loss, and lot of others like a business coach. So where specifically you chose like a become a mindset coach?
Well, to kind of go back to what I was saying earlier, that when I look back, I think
Hmm.
um, that's that's what was happening with me when I was young. Like my mindset about what can I control in my life.
Yeah.
Um, I did at the time, I didn't know that that word was mindset wasn't even really around, but um, that has been honestly how my whole curiosity has been about mindset. So then when I read the book that you have behind you, The Magic of Thinking
Thinking big.
Big,
Yeah.
yeah, before Carol Dweck even did her work with mindset,
Hmm.
and then the growth mindset and the fixed mindset, I recognized that that's what I was doing even as a teacher. I was always in the growth mindset, and that's how I treated all of my students.
Yeah.
And so that's what really eventually, after reading her book, it clicked for me. That's what I've always been doing is mindset. Um, but initially, I didn't call myself a mindset coach. I started off saying I'm a confidence coach,
Hmm.
and then gradually, I was like, yeah, it's so much about mindset.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's great. Like you found your path and you stuck around, and since then like you were like a mindset coach for entrepreneurs. So coming down to like the topic we going to discuss today with like a vision. So how do you define the vision for like entrepreneurs or even though like a normal day-to-day person? Because most entrepreneurs have the kind of vision for their starting their business or how they want to be become a build business or things like that. But when it comes to like a normal person, like we don't have any kind of goals, we can't have any vision, we don't have any kind of written plan with our life supposed to be next year, 2 years, or 5 years, let alone 5 years. We don't have like a monthly goal or weekly goal. So vision was something like is totally familiar for entrepreneurs. But would you like to explain a little bit about how do you see vision and how we should see a vision?
That's a great question. Um, you know, so I think when we first met, I had mentioned to you that as an entrepreneur, my first business was a yoga studio.
Yeah.
And I had a short-term vision for it, but I didn't have a long-term vision for it.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually it just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah.
So I started to recognize that it was definitely one of those things I had never worked on before. I really
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that aware of it. And of course, we're not really taught that, right?
Yeah.
As kids or in a classroom or something, like, what's your vision? And how do you grow that? How do you take steps towards that?
Yeah.
So once I became an entrepreneur, then it was more of the, it's talked about more, like you said.
Yeah.
And it's really equated to our why, like
Mm-hmm.
why we're doing anything. So I think for anyone to start with that idea, even on something very small, why is this a goal that I have?
Mm-hmm.
So we're coming towards the new year, and
Yeah.
so often we set goals or um, inspirations for that time of year, and to then if we can connect it to, like, well, why do I want that?
Mm-hmm.
And continue that questioning even further and go, what feeling am I after by wanting to
Yeah.
achieve that? Um, and so once I started to do that for myself, it was like a light bulb went on. Oh my gosh, I know in my life that's what's been missing. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things I could take action. I could force things. I'm pretty energetic, so I could, like, just set a goal and often get there. But if I didn't have anything beyond that, if I didn't have a why with it, I could get to that goal, and then there was like an emptiness.
Yeah.
And so that's how the idea of vision really started for me. And then now just seeing, boy, that's important for everybody. And now my kids are teenagers, and we can have those discussions, and
Yeah.
those are really good discussions.
Yeah.
Not just
It,
what you want to do, but why you want to do it, and
it's so important,
what's
isn't it?
beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is really, really important for like having a vision for anything in life. Either you can have like a relationship, you have to have that kind of vision, or like
yeah,
your health, your personal life.
absolutely.
If you're a spiritual person, then a connection with your God and everything. Also, like a business, this is a must. So where you're heading to. So having a vision, I think like it's important to have like them five things in balanced: health, relationship, connection with your God, your business or career wise, and then coming to your family or friends. So where you want to be in 5 years time, 2 years time, or 3 years time. Without like a kind of vision, then you can't really set goals what you actually want. So we oftentimes like a mix with the vision and goals, like saying like I have a goals but I don't have the vision. But vision is something like where you want to be heading to. It's like a zip code for your sat nav. So you're going for Chicago to New York. This is your ultimate destination. But goal is something where you can make some adjustment on the same time as well. But it's like being a process. So instead of going through like a main road, you can take a plane. Uh, you can go with the train. You can go with the bus or something. You can make the adjustment depending on the situation. But with the vision where you need to heading, that's like you need to be like a proper script and why you started. So you mentioned as well like start with a why. So oftentimes we don't know the why we're starting a business or why we are doing the thing we are doing, why we're liking the person we are liking and get into relationship in the first place. We just get into something, and even though you said lack of vision, end up like closing your business, like your yoga studio. So you didn't define the why at the first place. That's why you didn't have the vision. So how someone can get the why and write it down or like finding the why? Most people don't know their why.
and it really takes some, it's often uncomfortable,
Yeah.
like, I think even when I first kind of heard more about well, what's your why?
Mm.
I put it off for a while because it was kind of uncomfortable. Um, because it's interesting. Like, you can take your first idea. Well, what's
Yeah.
my why? For example, like, why do I want to start a business? Well, I want to be my own boss. Okay. But for our whys, we need to go a little deeper.
Yeah.
And that's what can get uncomfortable. And that's what also can take some time, which is fine. It's fine to take time with that.
Mm-hmm.
But to keep coming back and saying, all right, so with my example, so I want to be my own boss. Okay. What's below that?
Yeah.
What else, what is along with that? And it takes several iterations of what's my why and what's below that and what's beyond that. And
Mm-hmm.
to really get to that depth. But then once you have that depth, you can usually find that that is behind every one of your little goals. That
Yeah.
it's like that common thread of what your goals are. And it's kind of related to our values too. Like, I know for me, um, like that idea of freedom, the
Yeah.
feeling of freedom is really meaningful to me. And I would call that one of my core values, but it also drives, like, it's at the heart of when I get into my why of all of my, like, I've got my
Mm-hmm.
big vision, but all the little pieces um, alongside that, they all tie into that idea of freedom.
Yeah, you have to have like a proper explanation on the why, because
Yeah.
oftentimes we get distracted so many things. You plan something for a business and it doesn't go away, or could
Yeah.
be a relationship, or could be anything you want to achieve. So having like a strong why, my why is like a more than 1.5 pages. It's proper explain everything.
Yeah.
It's not only like a why I started business, it's like a more into why this is the business, why not like a brick and mortar business, why not other industry, why not different kind of sets. So that properly gives me the idea of how I can stick around even though not tough times with the business. So yeah, what I was saying is, so this is like a 1.5 pages. It explain every single in details why this is the business, why no other businesses, and if something comes. Even though I wrote down what kind of distraction could happen, so make sure I don't get distracted with that. So oftentimes, like so many things could happen with the business.
Yeah.
Sometimes low in funds, sometimes you're not getting clients or customers, sometimes you get lawsuits, sometimes so many other things. Like last year it's like a pandemic, so
Yeah.
no one can control anything. So this kind of things, like having a written down in place, that gives you like a kind of strong ability to stick around with your vision for a longer period of time. There is no, obviously there is no guarantee with the life, so many things could happen, but it gives you like an 80 to 90% of your full control, like emotionally how you can control things. And that is like really really important for like having a vision and written down your why. Be specific and write it down as much as you can. Or you can, even though right now it's an audio thing, so we prefer listening podcast and everything, just record it on your phone and just do your own podcast for yourself. So every time you get distracted, you just put it on your head and just listen to it. So I do that right now, like the last couple of months. If I'm struggling with something and can't find on the web or something, I create my own version of it. And every time I get distracted with a certain topic, I listen to my own. That thing, but I don't post it on my podcast or anywhere in the social media. This is for something for me. So wherever works for you, like you need to find out what is working to stay in your vision and the mission you have.
I love
So
that. That's
yeah,
great that you make your own audio for yourself.
yeah, I have
That is
like a
that's
more
powerful.
more than 4 or 5 hours. So certain things like I couldn't find it. Certain times it's like I need to buy a bigger house or smaller house, and which one is right for me. And I get distracted sometimes. Sometimes I made my plan and everything. This is the kind of size of the house I'm looking for. I don't want to impress anyone or something. What is my need? Then when I look for like different things or come across with let's say my multimillionaire friends and they live in the mansion, then I was like, why I can't have it like this? So you get distracted with your own vision. Then if you have like something on your phone recorded, like then you can go back to like what was my vision was. My vision was like, let's say 4 bedroom house or 5 bedroom. Why I even need a 7 or 8 bedroom mansion? Do I even need that? Can I even manage it? Can I even look after it? Cleaning the house, managing the house, or my family only 3 people. We are me, my wife, and my little boy. So we don't have like a 7 or 8 family members. Why do I actually need it or not? So having that kind of message recorded, so every time I get distracted, certain things gonna come. Like many people gonna say, "Oh, you're multimillionaire. Why do you have like a mansion? Why do you get things like that?" So you define yourself like what type of life you want, and if you write it down on your journal or like a record it on your phone and you can listen to it when you get distracted, then you know what your vision was and why you're doing what you're doing. So because everything you explain on the thing, so it really helps,
Yeah.
and I think everyone should try that as well. Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. It's like as you were describing it, I thought it's like
Mm-hmm.
an audio vision board,
Yeah.
but and then you can hearing it in your own voice.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Powerful. Yeah.
that is powerful.
and
Yeah.
and it
And
works every time.
I
Yeah.
imagine it does. I'm going to try that. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yes, so many doubt we have and so many things we have, it doesn't really align with our lifestyle, but we get caught up, like I mentioned. Sometimes you get your see your friends or something, and you end up being with their vision, not your vision. So right now, probably your mission is like helping entrepreneurs, and you become a mindset coach best in the world. And you see like one of your friends, she or he, they want to sell online courses and everything in a different industry, different niche, probably life coaching, and they're making millions out of it. But your mission was like helping entrepreneurs, but you see like some certain things, like they're doing well on the niche, and you try to change your niche and going to what they're actually doing and trying to be someone else. But having something recorded or written down, you can go back and ask, why did I even start it? So like going back to your place, like why is that? So with me, like my why sometime on my phone, sometime is written pages. So I always go back and every week I make sure I listen, even though I'm not distracted, make sure I listen and I stay to the same path I wanted to be in the first place. And certain things comes in the life, like last year, like I mentioned, pandemic happened, a lot of things changed, vision has been changed, how we wanted to move different country has been changed. We decided to stay in UK for now. My plan was like next 2 years to move to Dubai and everything. And when the pandemic happened, I really decided to stay in this country, even though it was like lockdown and everything, the families and everyone was together, to be honest. So it made you realize certain things. So your vision is changes because certain things, and then you can make some adjustment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So going to like a vision and goals, we have like a misconception what is vision and goals, and we mix up with both things. So I know like your mindset coach and entrepreneurs live with their life with the goals. So how do you define the both thing, vision and goals? How both of them are different from each other?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was just talking with a friend about this the other day, and it's always fun to hear what people's thoughts are around
Mm-hmm.
this. And I don't think I have the ultimate answers, but I love hearing everybody's thoughts.
Yeah.
But we do really, I'd say in general, we get really caught up in the idea of goal, right? Like that's a word that we've heard so frequently.
Yeah.
We're always supposed to have, speaking of, what other people think of you, we're supposed to have goals. And I think to me, one of the differences between our goals and our vision, and then how we can tie those together is, like starting with that big why
Yeah.
first. I kind of think of it, I'm pretty visual. So I think of like dominoes.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this drawing of dominoes getting geometrically larger each time.
Yeah.
So the first domino starting out just, the real size.
Yeah.
And that would be like step one, or what I'm going to do today.
Yeah.
But what you've got is this giant domino over
Domino.
here, which is your big vision. And so how we get toward that vision can be those goals.
Mm-hmm.
But I think where we have a disconnect between our goals and our vision is when we are externally motivated
Yeah.
rather than internally motivated. Like, what's my inspiration? Why do I want this rather
Mm-hmm.
than, something outside of me telling me to do this?
Yeah.
So when I was visiting with a friend the other day, that was one of the things that we were talking